to Russians. Look, I would speak to you Russian. I'm a little bit ashamed. I had to prepare myself of my language, Russian language skills. I didn't have enough time to study. I'd studied something little in Belarus, but other than that, I just didn't have time because I'm wasting one with stuff that should never even waste one on. But here's the thing. Uh, Russia is today is sabotaged. And you people are starved. They're starving you like deliberately, like your politicians. They're like totally starving you. It starts with the Putin, and it goes to Belarus. It goes to Lukashenko. Lukashenko is and Putin are both in bed with Americans and Israel, and foremost with Western European neo-Nazis. Here is how they do it, and I'm going to prove to you in a second. Belarus is located between Russia and between the European Union, an extremely important position. In Belarus, people are starved to the point when they have to go even work to Russia to survive. It's completely irrational. It's not logical, and Belarus people are basically, I'm not going to only say they side with the Russian people, but these are basically Russian people. These are real Russian people. This is where real Russian Slavic culture is based. And so, considering this, it should be exactly the opposite way. It should be the way that, people from Russia would go and work in Belarus. But, like I said, that's just not the case. This stuff is done deliberately because they want to pull Russia and Belarus into a total neo-Nazism. That's why you folks are hungry. That's why folks you are starved. That's why you are technologically disadvantaged. That's why you don't have Lada. That's why you don't have Moskvich. You don't have Volga. You don't have none of the cars you have had in the past. Cars which, let's say, India did not have, but they have now, or China. They have cars that match quality of the West. You, however, are sabotaged by your politicians because they want to extort you, they want to blackmail you into collaboration with the neo-Nazism, with Americans and with the Western Europe. Our cars like important, is that like important stuff? What you ride to your work, what you drive, it is, because it's something you identify yourself with. It's what you support, and it's not only needed in Russia, it's needed here in Slovenia, it's needed in Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, it's needed in Poland, it's needed in Czech, Slovakia, Romania, Bulgaria. People want to buy. People want Belarus, people want Ukraine, people want to identify themselves with Slavic brand, preferably with the Russian brand. So is this important? It amplifies your national identity, it amplifies who and what you are. It is actually extremely, extremely important. And what I see is totally setting. I don't want German car, I don't even want Japanese car. I want Russian car. Yeah, if I can get Russian, I'm gonna go for Chinese. But for me, it's very important. I don't even want French car. For me, it's very, very important that people who are here, there's a lot of people that love Russia and want to keep in touch with you Russians, and they want this bridge to go on, that want to improve this relationship. The Russian brands, the presence of them is extremely, extremely important. This is the stuff, it's much more important than what you might think it is. That kind of stuff. And on the other hand, I see a lot of money invested in projects that are like totally wasted money projects. Projects that with so much oil, with so much financial industry, that economy that could be used to create this kind of brands, as a matter of fact, to continue with this kind of brands, you know, and instead of that, none of that's done. Germans even bought Russian brands, car brands, and they have this factory sit deliberately just rotten over there, just deteriorate. Nothing is being done about it. It's like you're gonna buy German car, you're not gonna have your Russian car anymore, and we just go along with it. And you know, because you guys over there in Russia are just taking it. But this is very, very bad for us. This is bad for all of us, not only for you. And our bond like this is just falling apart. We don't want American car brands. We don't want this German cars and this, you know, stuff, this French cars and so on. We want real Russian brands. We want to identify ourselves as what we are. We don't want to change our identities. Putin's daughter is dating a Dutch guy. In Ukraine, you have Saakashvili. Sia dude, he's not even Slavic individual, inciting in war with Russia, whose wife is Dutch and so on. Folks, we got to get rid of these options. On one side, you know, they are suggesting Putin, if you're going to collaborate with neo-Nazis, you're going to get Ukraine. And on the other side, they are also suggesting him, if you're not going to collaborate with neo-Nazis, we're going to use the Saakashvili to take away from you Ukraine, Dutch people. This is the stuff that's got to end. You Russian people got to take situation in your own hands. It's time to take Russia back again and make Russia great again. This is exactly why this is happening. And for the very same reason, I continue to record these videos. I continue to record these videos so I could trigger, you know, emotions, feelings in politicians and this elite that have watched, maybe I should say semi-engaged in this stuff, because not everybody engaged. A lot of people had to make up their mind. And so this is basically used to extort, to blackmail by Americans, by the Germans, by the Putin, Medvedev. Normal people, normal nations, even non-white nations into collaboration with the neo-Nazism. That's what this is why. This is why this is. I should not be recording any of this stuff. There should be a police assisting me, giving me assistance. Pay for what I was deprived of. Give me the rights same as other people have. But this just isn't happening because they want this crap to go on with it, and they have designed this crap to be very long as possible, so they can extort and blackmail normal nations into atrocity, into extermination of the black people and of the Arabs. I should say colonization of the Arabs, in a parenthesis, what they have stated they would do. But from the past, if you consider China, India, what happened in India? They starved people to death. They were killing Indian people, and they were bringing in British people. In Africa, Germans murder almost entire Namibian nation. In South Africa, Dutch have colonized and have murdered blacks, and so on, and French did. So, you know, this is exactly why this is happening. So don't take these things to them seriously. Don't take them like, you know, take them as something that should never be transmitted to the internet, but it is transmitted to the internet because they need this thing to be transmitted to the internet. And I really don't have to be more specific about any of this stuff. This is just the way it is. This is how they do it. It's up to you. Normal politicians in non-white countries, in Asian countries, it's up to you. Normal politicians that are left over there in the Balkans, Eastern Europe, and of course you, the people in Eastern Europe, foremost in Eastern Europe that was genocided in the Second World War and will be genocided again. It's genocided right now through social engineering. And it is up to you Americans who have stopped American elites who financed neo-Nazi Germany in the Second World War to stop them again, to stand up for your own rights, for your own sake of freedom, liberty these people have deprived you of, judiciary system and everything else. I'm not going to go into Germany because Germany is not worth any of my words. That would be just a waste of time. Waste of oxygen would that be. Nor Scandinavia. That's just neo-Nazi garbage that never ever would change. And even if one would change, I wouldn't really care for. Because they are what they are. Yeah, and we have what we have in this world because of them. As simple as this. French people can do it. Italian people, I hope, you know, just consider what you are, who you are, and let common sense prevail in your heads. Is all I have to say. I don't know what else to say. Latin America and so on. Be freaking smart. Don't be stupid. Okay, we should not be recording. We should not be doing any of this stuff.
And that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger does. Basically, this stuff like this is used for them to communicate, to suggest one another. Time to do it is now. Basically blackmailing, extorting people, forcing them into...
Get to the crunch. Make a decision. Surprise! Just pick one and roll with it.
He wouldn't be doing this stuff without the Putin and Medvedev, though.
Sniffy man, make a decision. Do it now! That's a good boy. You've at least made a decision on the PPI, right? Come on!
It's not about a PPI, it's about something else.
You will no longer be able to make a PPI complaint.
Bye-byes for the PPI.
Quite. So you need to decide, yes, I want to make a PPI complaint, or no, I don't.
Make a decision. Do it now!
Visit the Financial Conduct Authority at fca.org.uk/PPI.
For the systematic destruction, for the systematic takeout of the nations, of the races, global war, basically, America, Germans, Buckingham Palace, the colonizers, they need every major superpower, every power that have nukes, they need one on board. Otherwise they can't do anything about it. Already India, if India alone would say no to it, the whole plan would just collapse into the water. So just say no to it.
And this is so-called Journey to China that he released the trailer. Well, here is the December the 12th, 2017. It's now the 18th of 2017. It's where he speaks Russian and he's got a Chinese guy. And I understand, this is basically what I was told, that this is going to be used, you know, to suggest Chinese politicians from the top, from the Chinese president alone. They're deeply, deeply in bed. They have gotten themselves into a situation that is pitiful, and I call Chinese Communist Party to take, to look at this case from up closely, to look at your president in respect to get these things investigated and find out really what is happening here. And the same is in Russia. Let's look at this. Trying to appeal Russians and Chinese.
1, 2, 3. Все на месте. Конечно. Куда же вы денетесь? Это же Таур.
Show them middle finger. Do it now. Time to decide is now. Do it now. Get on the stage and say no to this. Condemn them. Point out what they're doing. And have hopefully other people follow you, because I know that people will follow you. If you're going to be a strong example, you're going to stand on the stage, people will follow you. If you're going to be a weak example, nobody's going to follow you. So do it now. Now is the time to do it. My saying, what I said is 2 days ago, what was it, I think 15, what is it today, is the 18th. I've installed this security system here. And again, this is brand new. This stuff here, by the way, I'm in the room where Shoygu was. That's why we're going to do this movie about this Shoygu.
Make no mistake about, his name is Sergey Shoygu, and he is in team Medvedev, Putin, Lavrov. This is the dude we're going to be talking about. Again, Sergey Shoygu. My pronunciation is Shoygu, but that is plain and simple wrong. It's a bad pronunciation. I'm short with time, so I have to continue with this video, throughout which I refer to him as Shoygu, not Shoygu as I should have. But this is the individual we're talking about, basically Russian general.
I installed this brand new system. It worked fine when I got one. Truth is, I did not test, features like record mode, let's say. I didn't do that. But it appears to me that, especially because I was told on an MK Ultra that before I'm going to plug this thing on, before this thing is going to happen, before this thing is going to go into circulation, before this thing is going to start to work, what's going to happen is they will destroy me one, they will break me one. And I'm going to go into details, who, how, this and that. I have talked in previous videos, have mentioned my family, and that's exactly what I'm going to get into it. This is a bunch of events, bunch of the stuff they have extorted, what you would want or you would not want. Somebody comes under your bed with microwave gun and flushes you with that. You're going to change that to the ground area because you have no other place to go to. So you're going to have to move to ground area. So this is the ground area. This is where we are at. What's wrong with it is that recording mode, let's say, that you see, as you see, you see this little it's like tapes next to the audio. That's exactly what that is. It's recording. And there is one right there that is not recording. That's a camera number 1. Now, if I go to a recording and if I see the recording, how the recording works, then you're going to see that the only thing that is recording this thing is this thing here, number 1, which is totally non-essential. Okay, so let's go and see this. So basically this is all I get. Okay. So no matter what I do, no matter what I do, this thing doesn't work. I can perform factory reset, whatever the hell I do, it will not work. We can go and we can restore everything to the beginning of the time, and fact of the matter is that it's just not going to work. Let's see. Supposedly now it's recording everything. That's the only thing that have happened. But when you go to the record playback mode, the only thing that you're gonna get is this one here. I tell you what, screen not play. This is brand new, that's why I'm still catching myself a little bit. I didn't have time because I worked on so many other projects. We're going to do it this way. Obviously, whatever I do, it doesn't matter. Whatever I do, this thing is not working. According to me, this is exactly how it is. I don't know what otherwise, how to do it. Because there is nothing I can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. Okay, enough about this stuff here. Shoygu, he personally have placed all the cameras, installed all the cameras exactly. I'm not gonna say they were the same cameras, but the way I have positioned them pretty much is exactly how he have positioned them. Number one, he had a lot of problems positioning cameras. He did not know how to properly do the job. He damaged the doors over there in the garage area. He damaged the doors. He damaged the wall on the back in the garage area. Okay, this is in the garage area. I can tell you that this portion of the wall, like this here, it would just fell off. The rest of it, they were digging so many nails in there, like a big ass nails like this. They were just digging them inside, and those nails would not hold cameras, and they would just destroy this portion here of the wall, the whole thing. Every time they brought me from the US and they guided me back and forth, trying to make me paranoid with these cameras, it was bigger and bigger and bigger ass mess, more and more damage. In the end, this whole portion like this of the wall went out. He did a lot of damage. He didn't know what the F he was doing. It was a very sloppy dude. Did a lots of damage. Pissed my father off. But my father off is, to piss my father off is just, how can I say, my father is already, I mean, the stuff that I had talked about, my father is like this. It's like, this is my house, my rules, my house, my this, my that, my fishing rod, my hook, my spoon, my knife, sword, my car, my, I don't know, my fishing rod, my, I, mine, I, fence, I, this, I, that. Okay, when you have the people like this move in, the first thing that my I was gone. It was for him like total intrusion. I mean, the dude placed fence around his house. Nobody ever did in Slovenia, not only in this village. It's totally unacceptable. I mean, what he did, the way he placed fence around the property is just a total lunacy. Okay, later on, yeah, out in the woods, people started to imitate him around here. But before he came here, nobody wouldn't think about insanity like this. I would say if you put the fence, that's totally fine. But the fence like this, nobody does that. Not even in America, they don't do in a village, in a place like this. They don't do that. The rich people might do this stuff like this in the properties out in the woods away. but that you would just go in a village and place fence like this, that's very crazy, that's very irregular stuff. But for the Russian KGB, this was just perfect, and it's perfect for Americans. It was perfect for everybody indeed. So my eye, this and that, and the way he treated my mom, he treated one like shit, like dirt. That stuff was gone already. First, Israelis got him, then Russians got him too. Shugoi, I don't know what he did with him. I think that they took my father maybe more than once to mental hospital. He had some serious problems. Uh, and maybe even more Shugoi did it to him. I don't really care what Shugoi did to him. Maybe he punched him or something. If he did, that was well done. Uh, I don't have any regrets in respect to this. My father deserved way more than what he got, and hopefully that he will get what he deserves. And I mean through the legal system. Oh, Shigoi, um, my mom was very happy about him, about his presence. Promised my mom that if anything would go wrong ever with my father, to just, I don't know, give him a call or whatever, get a hold of him, and he for sure will take care of that and this and that. Uh, have presented himself. Well, we're gonna go into details. Okay, let's more about this room here. He set these cameras up. He couldn't set them up properly, no matter what he would do. It took them, I think, I would estimate about 2 years to learn how to properly install, let's say, this camera here. You see, he could not figure out on how to put that camera, how to position the camera, what to do with the camera. And if you see it, what I did with it, I normally have positioned one like this, but you can see through the two doors. It goes straight into the entrance doors. It covers this door, and of course it covers also the door on the right side. That was with the first shot I did. They could not, and they did that later on. They bragged about to me that how they, wow, you know, we finally did this and we finally did that. They did such a sloppy job with the cameras. They were so ashamed of themselves alone. They were so ashamed because other people have seen it. Americans have seen it. Everybody saw what they had done. And they started to suggest me on how I am going to place the cameras and such. And he even had the younger daughter here who would talk to me on how to place cameras and stuff like this. I mean, just crazy, bizarre shit. I mean, this, I think the 8th grader could do, a normal 8th grader could do what they couldn't have done it. I have done it in the first shot the way I have. Everything positioned with perfection. They were doing it for 2 years, smacking the nails in the wall, destroying doors and so on. Bizarre. They were showing me how the sun, when sun starts to shine, that then it's difficult to see. That was a local Novomesto police that was here on and on. Look, they did the damage. Rate them as very, very unprofessional. The whole thing was extremely unprofessional. But this beginning with the Novomesto police, this was just like a bunch of losers, like a bunch of lost dogs that did not know what the fuck was doing. Had me here. Okay, a little bit more about Shugoi before we get to that stuff. There's a bunch of issues, I don't even know where to start. Shugoi claimed, you know, that he was a victim of abuse. How his wife took advantage of him, ex, that she knew people, that how they ruined his life, how difficult it was for him, and how he suffered this and that. Okay, the reality, I'm going to give you the reality. A dude is as abusive as he gets. No wife possibly could stand dude like this. I think he is like totally uncivilized. insecure about himself. He doesn't know who he is. When I talk to you about this individual, you're going to understand that dude is he doesn't get married. You know why he doesn't get married? Because ladies could not stand him. That's one thing. And the second thing is he F's around with a woman wherever he goes. He's like a playboy. And I'm going to exactly explain to you how this was done here in Novo Mesto. Okay? They placed online ad him in Slovenian language, his photos on the local website, Slovenian website. Slovenian Novo Mesto police did it, and they advertised this, you know, through the system to the local woman. They pushed his photos to the local woman, and the women that would click on his pictures that would express some interest, something like this, they probably that he makes a lot of money and stuff like this. The next thing you will see, you would have the Novo Mesto police, the psychologists and shit. They would approach those women and they would start to harass them with the idea of if you know, meeting this guy and this and that. And he had woman here. I remember he had a woman here, companion. But maybe I did go a little too fast in the whole thing. I did skip like a major part of it, the most important part of it, and how we met with the Shoygu. When we first met, how we met. We first met in Miami, in the United States. We met with the Shoygu first. It was sometimes in 2001, and I didn't meet with him. I first met with his daughters, Yulia. Yulia at One Stop Job Employment Center, Miami, this and that, state employment agency basically, where they would keep inviting me, keep me jobless and force me to go. And they would have Russian team, and they would have daughters there too, and the Russian woman would just you know, they would just suggest me to marry them, go with them in Russia and stuff like this. I didn't go to US for this reason. I didn't have any attention to me. It did not even appeal to me in any way. To me, those women were not appealing at all. I had different ideas. I had different vision in my head. They were not part of my picture. And the Russian oligarchs, politicians, they pretty much act in very, very, how can I say, violent way when they approach to the person. I guess this is the tendency. I guess this is the way it goes. Normal in Russia is that if the politicians see a woman or son or daughter of the politician, woman or man that they want, is just they go and they just say, we're going to marry, you know, this is it. And if you don't comply with it, then you spend the rest of your time in unemployed and also inside of the mental asylum, in the mental hospital. And that's exactly what Yulia have told me, promised me that will happen with me, will get me in a mental hospital and stuff like this. By the way, she is like a head of the mental health in Russia, something like this. I'm going to get to her position in a little bit. But she was very unhappy with me, very angry with me, and later on have suggested me that she got married to a dude, that I'm going to have to marry her sister, whether I like it or not. And if I'm not going to marry her, mental hospital. And it was the same with the Sergey. You're not going to marry her, mental hospital. All right, obviously, this is the way it's done in Russia. it might have been done here a long time ago, but we don't remember here when it was done like this. It still might be done in some places in the world, third world, but in the civilized world, that's not exactly how it works. In Russia, however, it looks like they still have it that way. They still, they still have it awkwards that way. Unpleasant fact for me to discuss about, but this is just a fact. Okay, so this was very, very unacceptable way for me to deal with these people, how it all started. Shugoi did not, the victim Shugoi, whose wife, ex-wife, was, let's say she was a man beater, okay? Usually it's a wife beater, but in this case, in Shugoi's case, in Sergey Shoygu's case, she was a man's beater, because he was a victim. Because lots of men, also my father and so on, they are victims. This kind of men are always victims. They are poor men, because women are so evil, and children attack them. And so in his case, in case of Shugoi, also have, a big man like Shugoi is a big man. This is a a classy, smart, intellectual, and physically superior dude. He also proved me how strong he is. The poor guy, the abused guy, also managed to punch me several times in my stomach. Have suggested that I was not nice to my mom. And then he had Netanyahu, because he is in bed with Israel. I would say maybe only Putin is in bed with Israel as much as Shugoi is. He suggested in front of the Netanyahu, and Netanyahu said, no, he did not, Mom. We already asked Mom about this. We interrogated Mom, this and that. He did not, Mom didn't say anything bad about him, this and that. And he was like, oh, okay, but he did punch me several times when I was drugged up in my stomach, because this is what Shugoi is. This is how he is. He also was playing a paranoia here in the ground floor where the bathroom is, where the shower area is. They would get me there because they have anticipated I'm going to do this stuff. And I shave, I brush my teeth, and he would appear out of nowhere, brush my teeth, drugged up. I mean, like this. You don't even know what you're doing. All of a sudden, okay, we already got you. Oh, we got here. We jumped through the garage. We got you, and we get you, and we get you, and we get you, and this and that. You're gonna say this is crazy. This is crazy, but you're gonna see. Talk to you about how much sense it really makes. He didn't only have a problem with my father, but my father, like I said, a normal person should have a problem with him. Not anymore, because my father knows that this is a big case. He started to behave properly. I should say more, he adjusted himself a little more to life, normal life, than what the case used to be. But Shugoi had a lot of problem with other people, because Shugoi, they would take him out there, the politicians and stuff, he would go with them, and he would constantly get in a conflict. He would constantly get in a fight with people, but not in a physical fight, but he would go and he would insult people. He would get into the face with the people and start to fight with them, and have created here in Slovenia lots of shit. A lot of people got pissed off with this Shugoi. And Shugoi, how did here the Slovenian politicians, police, how they have presented him? They presented him as, to the women and to the people. Obviously, if you want to F somebody, women, or whatever, that she would just have to spread her legs, because this is the man that actually defends us. This is the man that keeps us safe. This is how holy Shugoi was. It was not this shit because of him only, because of his non-civilized behavior, but foremost because of the noble master police, because the way they the way they had talked to the people, and he understood what the way this man started to believe that he is the owner of Slovenia here. So he got in conflicts with the people, fights, but he did participate with the military here. He did show them the strategic, the way, you know, how the Russian military operates. I understand they did go out on exercises together and stuff like this. And, you know, otherwise he was here inside in this room. Putin was up there. And on the up in attic area, they have the KGB. Before they have left this place, they have made, custom made, the doors that he effed up. They have fucked up the doors, a bunch of doors. And they have had those doors replaced later on. So let's say, I'm gonna show you something. So let's say stuff like this, it would not break. Okay, this is what it was custom made. And I have found here install that camera. I have found here that this was damaged here. This stuff was damaged, and this here, they might have, I don't know, maybe they might have fixed this thing, but they have suggested back then that they have, specially for the Shigoi, that they have replaced the whole door. I can assure you that in the back, they have hammered the nails inside of the wall. They have fucked up the whole wall. The whole part of the wall they have destroyed. The side of the wall, it would just fell off. Okay, never mind. This was just a local novel police, the professionals that know everything, smart as they are. Oh, by the way, they did not know how to position cameras. They could not do anywhere even near as job as I have done. Have suggested me during the installation. His daughter, the youngest one.
That's a girl on the right side next to her daddy. I think she's a good girl, actually. I don't think she's got anything to do with this. It's her father and her sister that are in this type of crazy games.
She suggested me that she works in this kind of industry in Moscow, that she was here, they have her here, asking me if I want to marry her. You're drugged up, you're effed up. Yes, I do. When you're drugged up, tortured like this, you do marry anything. Trust me. And God knows what else they put inside of you. You do marry anything. Even men, you marry. It's a little bit different reality when you no longer are drugged up. But when you're drugged up like this, you know nothing about what is going on. You only get to see things, you understand a little bit what they tell you, that's about it. That's all there is to it. Nothing more than that. You are barely, let's put it this way, you are barely conscious. You barely participate in matters. You barely know what is going on. We would, in Moscow, that, that she's got this oligarchs and people that pay a lot of money for installations. A lot of people know her. And she goes out there and she does installations for these people and cashes a lot of money, and that I could help her. And Vladimir Putin, this is how you're gonna start to learn the Russian, through Shugoi, the military. You're gonna start to get to know them, and then you marry this daughter, and then we have a USSR all over again. And We will participate with the neo-Nazism, with the fascists, with Americans, and we get the money from them, and we portray you like a great president for the Russia. And here we get to portion of the video that I have mentioned previously, how he is in bed with Israel. Okay, Shugoi loves Israel. Netanyahu impressed Shoigu, excuse me. As I go along, I add stuff when I remind myself, and I add clips into this documentary because gotta finish this fast. Okay, here's the deal. He impressed him with the lies. I mean, there are a few people that he did not impress with lies. Netanyahu is a total psychopath. He's a totally pathological liar. And so he convinced Shoigu, hope I did say it right, on, first of all, Shoigu has a problem not only with the Russian people. He have a problem with, dude is weird as hell. He's got a problem with the Chinese. He does not like Chinese. He had a conflict with the Chinese too. This is a guy that has conflict with, like I said, Putin actually told me I'm not taking him around anymore when he was in Slovenia because he got into too many conflicts, okay? He just got into the conflicts wherever he went. So he got the conflict. He believes that Chinese people don't like his people, and either Russians, he had a problem with the Russians, he got a problem with the whole world, but there is one place he would not have problem with. No, that is Israel, the promised land of Netanyahu. Okay, and he said to me, yeah, you don't know, don't say, because, I always express disapproval regarding Israel, okay, and he was very upset with me about that. He said, don't talk like this, you don't know about this. Netanyahu is a friend. If something goes wrong with, this stuff, if we're gonna do this with the West and stuff like this, you never know how things can turn. Okay, and in that case, we can just board the plane and go basically to Israel. We can go to Israel and they're gonna shield us over there in Israel. He is in bed with Israelis. Sergey Shoygu is, from his mouth, from his mind and from his mouth is what I can tell who and what he is. Let's go to Sister Yulia Shoygu. You married a sister, you normalny, you normal man, you normalny. All good. You don't marry my sister. You're not normalny. I had the department over there in the Russia. I go to on the TV with you. We go to the TV with you. We arrange for the whole Russia to see. I give my opinion. You normalny. You normal. You don't marry her. You're not normalny. You're not normal.
Americans especially have panicked when I started to say that I'm going to revolt, that I'm never going to cooperate in any of it, that I'm just going to tell people who these people really are and so on. Oh, no, no, you're going to do this, you're going to screw yourself, you're never going to get anywhere in Russia because don't you see these daughters are groomed for the future politics in Russia. They have basically future Russian scene they have in their hands.
Vladimir Putin is sabotaging, killing you Russian people. He is fucking up Russian economy. He is taking the country down. And trust me, everything that is happening from the West, the propaganda about him, they would not favor him, and he was not in bed with them. Just a little reminder of the stuff I have discussed in the beginning of this video. This was the scenario they had in their mind. The last time that I have seen the youngest daughter of Shugui, the last time I seen his daughter was in Vitebsk. She came to Vitebsk, and then we met on a rail on a tram, and that was it. She's a great friend with kids right here. From this room on the other side, there is a house, Berger family. They have even a special room whenever she comes for her, like a little princess, that she has that room. She feels very good with them. But yeah, this is supposed to be a scenario. This is how this would be. I am just going to repeat to you the words from Novo Mesto Police, from, in a parenthesis, best friend of mine. What you would do is basically you would marry her and you would travel with her, with Ksenia and father Shoygu, to Russian military installations where you would, you know, just learn about the stuff and help the two install security system, secure perimeters and stuff like this. And this is how that will be. Sergey also told me, he said there's going to be only one more time. I guess this is the time. During MK Ultra, they have suggested me reach Moscow kids, this and that, and how they like to play loud music. And then there was the other day when I moved down here in this area, there was blasting music, and there were lights here right on top of that, in the top of that house, or that room. They have shown me where she is at the top of that house, this and that. However, I will not show you the house. I will not point cameras at that house, because it also could be used by these people to say, look, he is filming our houses and stuff like this. Well, you know, they will probably, they might, I don't know, try to, you know, come up with their own theories about the whole thing. The father Shugoi, however, he used to stay, if, you know, he would come extra here to visit this place, he would stay across the street where Kolenzi is, where Dana Kolenzi is, Udoch. There are two houses, one after another. That's the area basically where he would stay. Okay, and so if you're not going to marry my daughter, and then it's going to be an ambulance vehicle that will come to pick you up. But that's okay, that's completely okay.
Sergey Shoygu was born right here, on this place here. It's right next to Mongolia. Here is Kazakhstan, and there you have China here. You know, close to Mongolia, but on the Russian side of the border. Chadan is the name of the city. You have Moscow here, you have Ukraine, Slovenia, where I'm from, and so on. And so, this is the place where he was born. And, you know, I'm really not okay with the stuff Americans have had to say about it. And I guess they felt they have the right to decide about me, you know, to make decision about me, since they have even brought me to this place and stuff like that. As per what my future is going to be, and even perhaps who I am. All through, I was not even born in United States of America. I arrived in the United States of America when I was 23 years old. I do have United States citizenship, passport, but I absolutely do not consider myself as an American. America did not give me anything other than Guantanamo Bay citizenship. So I cannot really relate myself to Americans who have dared to suggest me, you know, stuff like this. It's like totally bizarre, I think. But you know, that's United States of America. That's a garbage country. I'm gonna tell you what that is. That is a garbage country that should not even exist. That is the country that have done more evil than good to this world.
Now let's go to completely other issues. Let's give an idea about what Shugoi is like, what kind of coward this is, what kind of individual this really is. Now let's go to other issues. These are issues that are a little bit more important for the Russian people, as far as security for the country, as far as what is happening in the country. Shoygu, Americans have taken me to his place. I don't know what, again, in a little bit I'm going to show you, to his place, to his village, to his place, because guess what? It's extremely important if you want to conduct the global operation to get Russian military general on your side. And they did so. They went in his ass. They licked his ass like they licked Putin's ass. And they wanted to convince him how important not only he is, but they wanted to convince him how important his people are. Because Shoygu talked about his people, how his people are important, this and that. And so they took me to his village and dropped me over there and showed me, I think, his house, dragged me on around there. There is nothing around there, really. It reminded me kind of my village from my grandma, where it was in the middle of the nowhere. And have suggested me, try to make me exciting how this is where I'm going to be, how this is it, and then how important Shoygu is. Americans are completely obsessed with Shoygu. And the reason why they were obsessed with Shoygu is stuff that I have stated. But the funny part about it is that Shoygu became obsessed with Americans. And Shoygu started to betray Russia. Shoygu started to see, when he came to Miami, he watched Hispanic people, and he started to see himself no longer as a Russian, but as a Hispanic. But you understand that the CIA, what they do is, when an individual like this comes, they get Hispanic people that favor United States of America. They will talk good about the U.S. Not the Hispanic, like the way they they barely, go from one day to another, or black people or something like this. None of that stuff. But they have portrayed to him United States of America as, the country as a freedom, as, in this house, when we were in this house, Americans, Bush, he would pretend like he cares about Chinese, even Chinese women. But it was a completely different story in America. In America, it was one song. At the beginning, when it all started, it was all about the Nazism, about the fascism. Then it gradually turned into totally other direction, because they wanted to be seen when here, especially here in Slovenia, they want to be seen like they care about. And so they talk about a lot, Americans talk about a lot about minorities in this house, about the minorities in Russia, how minorities aren't the women beautiful from Russian minorities and this and that, the Tatar woman, then women that from that area where Shoygu is, and so on. So they brainwashed him into mentality that this dude started to see himself no longer as a Russian, and started to create own identity, own picture in his head about himself, about being more related to the U.S. than to the Russia.